So, you have finally woken up, probably in your mid 20s, late 20s, and your prefrontal cortex is probably starting to finally develop at this point. And boy, has it been a doozy. You remember your past, your history, and you have all these preferences, opinions, beliefs, and this whole identity that has been constructed over all this time of your life so far. And you just look around at everything, you're like, wow, I exist. Didn't think I get this far. Especially for my fellow Gen Z people. This is the moment when you're able to say the I am statement. Because when you're able to say I am, it is acknowledging your own conscious awareness and being able to say, like, I'm a human being in this existence. It's like waking up to that fact. And up until now, before this, whatever you want to call it, awakening or whatever, all these things that I mentioned previously, like your identity, the things that you lived through, your preferences, you believe that's what made you you. But now it's not really quite it anymore. As a matter of fact, the reality of it is much more complex. And the very scary thing is that without us noticing, the lies that we tell ourselves that we believed became the way that we be in this world. Our way of being was formed from fabrications. You see, the vast majority of what you believe was instilled into you, or you gained from an experience, either good or bad. How it happens is neutral. The emotional impact is either positive or negative, depending on the circumstances and your method of interpretation. But it's usually from your upbringing, your parents, family, society at large, small communities you're in, friends, school, even things like media, pop culture, and social media nowadays, actually. It will influence you and who you think you are in ways that no one can really predict. Even the things that you don't remember that happened to you, yeah, those affected you too. And if you block out memories like me, then you know what I mean. It can be as simple as somebody saying a joke one time, and then now that's your go-to joke whenever the opportunity arises. Or someone put you on to an artist like years ago, and now you're a super fan of them. And maybe you saw like an influencer one time back when you were like in your early 20s, and like now that's your whole fashion sense. This is just the truth becoming more apparent and ever so more painful. And then combine that with the grief of getting older, things changing, drifting away from friends and family, like walking new paths, new jobs, new cities, new routines, an ever-present loneliness that you just can't seem to run away from, no matter how much you try to run. Trust me, you are not alone in that experience. It's happening to everyone. I believe at this point that we are just really good at hiding that none of us know what the fuck is going on. We can have some idea. We like to think we have some idea, but the reality of the matter is we live in a world that is made of uncertainty. And we're just highly uncomfortable with that as human beings. But this specific phenomenon that you are experiencing, you're probably in your mid-20s, I'm 25, maybe for younger or older, hell, maybe even past 30. But you're like remembering the fact that you're human, understanding what that means, everything that comes with that, and also recognizing that you're changing. You're changing and recognizing yourself as a person, probably for the first time ever. This is a moment that I think everyone who is seeking a higher path or answers or further understanding of themselves or just some kind of relief from this existence reaches, where all these deep, dark, heavy emotions take place. And I just want to make sure that you know this doesn't mean anything is wrong with you. Actually, quite the opposite, really. It probably means you're better than most people. Not in a sense of like, no one's better than anybody, but more self-aware, more compassionate, more considerate of other people, but also of yourself, or at least starting to be for yourself, which is great, by the way. I'm proud of you for that. It's not easy, trust me. But this whole thing is scary, it's different, it's unfamiliar, and it quite literally changes everything. Some symptoms you might have is a mixed sense of nostalgia and novelty. You start remembering things from your childhood and teenage years that you used to love and you get back into them. I've seen people get into like Tamagotchi again, or Some people watch like kids TV shows. Me personally, it's been One Piece. I remembered like there's a in the dark corners of my mind there is a vivid memory of like the Going Merry from One Piece, and I vividly remember seeing, I think his name's Chopper, I think it's like the guy with the antlers. I remember seeing him when I was a kid watching TV back in like the 2000s, and I was like, oh, like I remember I used to love this show. I have no idea what part that was at actually, but I'm working to get back to it. And at the same time, you're discovering some new things about yourself that you didn't really know about before. Interests that you never really got to explore when you were younger, for whatever reason, or because you just changed and now you like something new. And there's like this mix of going back to things you used to love while also exploring yourself, who you are as a person and your interests in a new way, and wanting to just test yourself out in the world. And this is beyond like the superficial, like, oh, I'm so cool and awesome, like superficial being interested in yourself. It's not what that is. It's beginning to truly want to build a relationship with yourself, which, in my humble opinion, is the first and foremost relationship that you need to build, because it will outlast every other one. If you don't know me by now, name's Lazarus. So, and I love the concept of I love the concept of memento mori, which basically is Latin for remember you will die. And I think about that a lot. I mean, it's kind of the point. Something that I realized when I was young was that no one else is going to live this life for me. No one else is going to face what I have to face. No one else is living in this flesh with me. It's just me, and if you believe in a higher power like I do, and big old buddy up there, you and them, her, whatever, and nobody else. People can be along for the ride, whether it's parents, friends, a partner, even your children. But at the end of the day, like, you come into this world alone and you die alone with yourself. My favorite thing to say, which is so fucking morbid, but like it's so real and can't escape it, is no one else is going into that grave with you. No one else is going to be on that deathbed with you. So you don't have to build a relationship with yourself. I mean, there's plenty of people who have died that way, but I can guarantee you that they didn't live very fulfilling lives. If anything, they probably were the people who lied to themselves the most. And I don't think you want that. No, I don't want that shit. Hell, just lying to myself about like saying I won't eat out and then I go get Raising Cane's is just like a death sentence in my mind. This period is gonna suck. Just flat out. I don't want to sugarcoat shit. I don't want to lie to you. I don't want to make you think that this is not going to be some difficult, messy thing that you either run away from or are forced to go through. But I want you to follow along with me on this perspective shift in my eyes, and hopefully in yours as well. This is actually the greatest opportunity you will ever have in your entire life. And I mean that quite literally. This is more important than whatever career you get or who you marry even. And that's like probably the second thing that I would say is the most important opportunity of your life. Because this is the moment when truths are revealed, lies are done away with, and what remains is what actually is you. Your essence, your soul, not this flesh that we inhabit, not your name, not how much money's in your bank account, not what job you work, not any of these other things that we just made up as a species. You, the thing that is aware that it is alive, the thing that hears and feels the thoughts and emotions, the one watching this video right now. You. This is the moment that your soul is finally able to breathe and start taking its first steps with sovereignty and autonomy. It is like Atlas finally being allowed to take the weight of the world off of his shoulders so he can finally relax, feel relief, and enjoy freedom. Pretty sure this has to do with existential freedom or existential courage, but I never really liked Jean Sartre, whatever his name was. He was friends with Castro, and I'm Cuban, and I just don't fuck with that. So like, great ideas, don't like the dude. But that's besides the point. In between all the poetic phrases and metaphors and everything, I do have some practical use to give you, or practical practices that you can use in actuality, because I like very airy things. I like things up in the ether. I'm an Aquarius, an air sign. That's where I inhabit. But I also understand and desperately desire things that are grounded in reality and tangible, because that's where we live. That's where we inhabit. God, I really hope you know some spiritual stuff, because like if you don't, like you're gonna be completely lost. Maybe I can make a video about that stuff. That'd be fun. Let me know if you want that. But the colors that I paint on this canvas is just to help you visualize the story, so that when you begin taking the necessary action actions in this period of your life, in this new unknown terrain, you'll begin to recognize that you're co-writing your life instead of just observing it. I hope you're ready, because this is the part that you're not going to like. So if you've made it this far into the video and you're thinking about leaving, if you don't have the stomach for this, you can leave. But if you're brave enough to do this, and I've mentioned to people to like do this like in passing, or that I do this on my own accord, and they think I'm a freak. They think I'm like, what's wrong with you? And yeah, I am a freak. I don't deny that. I just am stubborn and want truth. The only way to begin moving through this new terrain, through this new way of being that you're trying to rediscover for yourself, is that you have to sit with yourself in silence, minimum an hour. You have to simply let yourself exist. No goals, no productivity, no searching, no looking for some external thing to satisfy you and to fill the hole that's in your heart. None of that shit. Just you, yourself, and moi. Doing this will make you feel so uncomfortable. And it will make you want to reach for your phone. It'll make you want to play some music. It'll make you want to, like, I don't know, distract yourself with like a fidget toy or some shit. That's the point. We don't want those distractions. The mind has to be able to just roam free and nothing. It's definitely not easy, and you're probably not going to like it when you first do it. But what I'm saying is that it will help you. So, choice point. Either A, you continue living the way that you've been living and keep suffering needlessly without actually being able to suffer with, I guess, dignity and with understanding of where that suffering comes from and how you don't have to suffer all of it, even though life will always have some kind of suffering, but like you can get to pick and choose. Or B, you sit down with yourself for an hour and you don't have a temper tantrum like a child. I'm being really mean right now. I'm sorry. This is how I was spoken to years ago. So, like, forgive me. But you sit down with yourself and you fight the urge to run. And you have a pen and paper, preferably a notebook, because you're probably going to write a lot. You probably have a lot of pent up shit. And not just anger, but sadness, misery, grief, even joy that you locked away from yourself that you have not wanted to let out for whatever reason. That's a very personal thing, though. You'll know what it is once you do it. The necessary part of all of this is just being in silence. I mean, you can be outside and like hear birds chirp and all this. I like to be outside when I do this because nature calms me down. It reminds me of my ever so present truth of not being that important. And it's so nice. It's so nice. Because all that noise, like social media, like TikTok, and all these other doohickeys that our monkey brains obsess over and use to get away from the fact that, like, oh, I am a human being. Yeah, all that shit is just noise. It's literally brain junk. Like, you know how there's junk food for your stomach? Like, this shit is junk food for your brain. And it's keeping you away from yourself. And you actually have to have a very much needed conversation with yourself, so we need to push all that other shit to the side so you can, you know, get down and dirty with your fine self. But this conversation with your inner self is about everything that's going on internally. What's bothering you? What's got you mad? What's got you sad? What you haven't let go of? Why you're unhappy? What you actually want out of life? And a plethora of more questions to ask. And I just want to set your expectations for this. Like, again, if you're not down to do this, leave the video. You'll probably find it, like, in whatever time frame you find it, probably years from now. But this is not a one and done thing. No, you're doing this for the rest of your life. Because once you reach this level of consciousness and awareness, you can't go back. It's like going into the river Styx, I think that's what it's called. And, like, everything gets washed away. There's, like, nothing left. You are reborn. You can die again and be reborn again, but you can't go back to the previous version that you were. Because this thing isn't a phase. It's a homecoming to the ever-present consciousness that is you. Okay, yeah, that's cool and all, but, like, how does that help me stop feeling like shit, being happy with my life, and also the fact that, like, everything I love is going to fade away? I'm glad you asked. On some real shit? I don't think you're going to be able to see that now. I don't think you'll be able to, like, connect those dots just quite yet. Because if you're watching a video like this and you're just now coming to terms with this stuff, there's probably a lot to unpack first before you get that down and dirty. Besides, that's such a deeply personal question that only you can answer for yourself, so happy travels. I can tell you this. Think of yourself as a tree. We've seen trees before, right? We've touched grass. We've stepped outside. Oh, dude, I'm such a dick. Imagine this tree that is you. and you have these branches. All of your branches are your behaviors that you do automatically that repeat cycles. They're the beliefs that hold you back. They're the actions that you perform, the habits that you know hurt you, but you just keep doing it anyway. Those are all symptoms. And the only way to put an end to those symptoms is not by cutting the branches, because then you'll have no branches. If you don't know, trees need branches so they can not fly away. Just in case you didn't know that. To treat the symptoms, you have to start at the root of the tree. And in those roots is where you have to return to yourself. That is how you get to the root, by building that relationship with yourself and figuring out what is going on down there. And to tell you the truth, it's easier done than said. And no, I didn't say that wrong. So this is what you're going to do. Every morning, you are going to put your phone somewhere else. Turn it off. Don't disturb. Just make sure you can't hear it and you can't reach for it from where you're sitting or standing or whatever. Preferably sitting. And before you doom scroll or check notifications, you're just going to put it away, grab a pen and paper, again, preferably a journal, because you're going to be writing a lot, and you're going to allocate just 1 hour. I prefer to do this with some coffee in me, so you feel free to make a coffee. I don't blame you. And once that timer starts, just start writing. Quite literally anything. You're not writing Shakespeare, and you're not being tested by your local school county for writing. You're just putting literal word vomit onto the pages. To help you get started, I have 3 sentence starters. Wow. Can you tell it's 1 a.m.? These 3 sentence starters are: I feel X thing. I want Y thing. I love Z. Patience. I love Z thing. I was going to go full European and just say Z for whatever reason. And write a couple of those until you feel content and like you've got nothing else left to say in that format. And then you're going to start asking why. I want you to be that annoying kid that didn't know jack shit about anything and didn't give a crap about how him asking those questions made other people feel. You're going to be annoying to yourself. Why do you feel what you feel? Why do you want what you want? And why do you love what you love? Those are not easy questions. They're tough. And you have to keep going and asking why until you get to the root of it. I want you to be shameless in your pursuit of that why and relentless in digging for it, because that's the only way that you're going to get to something that's 1, authentic, 2, helpful, and 3, not some rubbish that was already instilled into you, but really what you truly feel, want, love, etc. Once time's up, stop writing and don't read what you wrote just yet. I want you to just relax for a second, because this is probably a process that took a lot out of you emotionally, and I don't want you to implode. So I have this breathing practice that I like to do when I want to calm down and return to center. So if you want to do this, I recommend. So yeah, no, do this. It's going to help. Number 1, you breathe in for 4 seconds, primarily through your nose. You hold for 7 seconds. Then you breathe out with your lips pursed like this. Like almost whistling. You're going to blow it out for 8 seconds. You're going to repeat this until you feel relaxed enough and like you're not going to physically combust. Now once you've relaxed enough, you're going to actually read what you wrote. And you're not going to write anything else. You're just going to sit with those thoughts about what you wrote. In any moment of silence or stillness, and just think about what you wrote throughout the day, and make sure you're not judging yourself and you're not thinking it's all just some nonsense. I want you to be curious, like one of those scientists out in the Amazon or the Sahara. Is it Sahara? There's the places where lions and shit are in Africa, I forget. The savannas or whatever they're called. One of those scientists observing animals and like that. I want you to be one of those people who just be so curious. Test different hypotheses and figure out what the fuck is going on. Or be like Sherlock trying to solve a mystery. I love Sherlock. Sherlock is the GOAT. You probably won't figure out a whole lot on your first attempt, but this is why this is a lifelong process. Besides, once you're on this path, you're going to be changing a lot in unpredictable ways. So keeping this practice in your life is marvelous for being able to check up on yourself and build that relationship with yourself and get you accustomed to doing this so that you're always returning to your center and to your internal compass and being like, okay, I actually like this or I actually don't like that, and moving accordingly from there. It's imperative that you treat yourself with compassion and kindness throughout this process, and you don't let the voice of your father tell you that you're being a pussy and that all of this is pointless and just work harder, and that if you don't do anything right, then you're worthless. Yeah, this process is not going to be easy. It's going to bring up a lot of negative emotions and thoughts just like that. And I want you to know that all of that shit is bullshit. Don't listen to it. Trust me, it's not worth it. It wastes a lot of time, and we don't have a lot of that, do we? Give yourself enough breathing room between thinking about these things, because they can get really heavy, and they can get really head heavy, like a lot of mental processing. So rest accordingly. Watch One Piece for like a day or something, and then go back to it. I really am on a One Piece kick right now, damn. But I want you to always come back to this practice with this one thing in mind. I'm not trying to fix anything. I only wish to know myself. Personally, I would love to hear what you figure out by doing this practice, so feel free to leave comments in the comment section. My email should be in my descriptions, but if not, it's just the resurrect, I think. Whatever. Like, you can, there's a plethora of ways to message people online. You can figure it out. It'll be somewhere. I'll put it somewhere. But until next time, my dear friend, your mind can save you, or your mind can end you. Peace.